Hello, and welcome to a Tin Dog podcast. This time talking about, well, this. It's the new Unit series from Big Finish. You know, there's a review on iTunes for the Tin Dog podcast, and it's a 1-star review, and it says, too much Big Finish. I know quite a lot of you, are here mainly for the Big Finish, and that's kind of what I'm here for too. You know that I think that Big Finish is the superior home for Doctor Who. It just is. So what we've got is Brave New World, which is fantastic. I mean, here's the thing. Angela Bruce was playing Brigadier Winifred Bambera back in the late 80s. This was when Doctor Who was great. Now, I adore Battlefield. But the question for me is, does Battlefield take place in the primary Doctor Who dimension? Let's call it ours. It's not ours. Or in one of the subdivisions. Now, there is an argument that all unit stories take place in slightly different dimensions from each other, and so on and so on. So that's fine. Basically, in this story, Battlefield, we've got this one TV story with this one person. Now, she is in one of the new unit stories with a time spillage thing, but basically she was head of proper United Nations unit back in the apparent 90s. This series, like New Unit, is set after your classic Doctor Who 7th Doctor time of the 70s/80s unit dating. But here you've got something cooler. Here you've got the 90s. Now, my dissertation during my degree, yes, I shouldn't have done a dissertation. I did a film and some scripts as well, which is what was actually needed. No one told me I wasn't supposed to do a dissertation. I just did one anyway, because I'm an idiot. 10,000 words on the location of pleasure in fandom of The X-Files. There'd only been 3 seasons of The X-Files when I did this. 3 seasons. There was some 10 at the end, if you count Millennium as well. And then you've got the movies. The X-Files was one of the big defining things of the 90s, culturally wise. Let's face it, we didn't have Doctor Who. We had Star Trek, but that was for your big outdoor stuff. So the X-Files is a big influence on these stories, this whole new series, this Brave New World, which is an old word. No one knows what the 90s or a decade is like until afterwards. So kind of you know what the decade is like because it's 30 years ago. Yeah, the 90s was 30 years ago. Feel old now? I know I do. So, that's one of the big influences on this box set. This is what makes it different from the other unit stories. Also, the technology isn't as advanced. The soundscape alone makes this box set worthy of buying because there's so much stuff going on. Now, it's 3 stories, so let's go through this. You've got your overall synopsis. The Cold War is over, the Millennium is fast approaching, and Brigadier Winifred Bambera is the new head of unit. But in this shadowy, unpredictable world of deadly threats and hidden enemies, Bambera and her new team, Sergeant Jean-Paul Savarin and Dr Louise Rix, will need to prove their mettle. The stakes are higher than ever. And the thing is, unlike recent Obi-Wan, we don't actually know what happens to Bambera. We don't know if she retires, if she survives, if she goes on to bigger things or better things or different things, or even if she just gets blasted off into space at some point and we never hear from her again. Was that how the Avengers ended? No. 1.1. There's 3 in this box set. Rogue State by Robert Valentine. In the war-torn Republic of Valmarge, Brigadier Bambera is hot on the trail of arms-dealing terrorists Roman Kvorjak. Yes, I'm not going to be able to pronounce the names, and I'm sorry. When she's ordered back to Geneva, her old sponsor, Dame Lydia Kingsley, offers her a job as the new head of unit. Reluctant to accept, she nevertheless teams up with the sarcastic unit officer, Sergeant Jean-Paul Savarin, to prevent a monstrous Soviet-era weapon from falling into Kvorjak's hands. Now, apart from the fact that this whole thing is based on a whole Yeti thing, Not the Yeti, Sasquatch, but Russian and some holiday makers. It's an actual 1950s mystery. Perfect for this sort of thing. Very Lovecraft. And you could do a brilliant flashback. There is a mention of Torchwood in this box set. Very nice. But what I'm saying is, this has got a lot of stuff to do. You've got to introduce a lot of new characters because you've only got Bambera left over. Bambera's bloke, Anselin, gone. He's gone back to the dimension. It's a long-distance relationship, she says. Now, this gives a bit of groundwork so that you could have that later on. You never know. Bambera might finish off going back to Arthurian alternative Earth. But let's be grateful for what we've got. Now, her performance is, of course, a bit shouty. She's got a shorter fuse than our normal Brig, and it is definitely great that she's back. 100%. The problem with action-packed audio is that it is audio. And yes, this feels so much like Bugs, which was, of course, a genetic descendant in many respects of the Avengers, and CI5, which was the Professionals, and all that business. The only thing it hasn't got is Crime Traveller, and we can all be grateful for that. Story 3's got a bit of a Mr. feel, but that's for Story 3. Story 1's very, very well structured because it's got a lot of character introduction to work. And then we've got Story 2, which has more character introduction work because that's where we meet the new scientific advisor. Time Flies by Alison Winter. It's a great story, this one. Bambera and Savarin. Yes, we've heard that name somewhere else before. You can look it up yourself. Are summoned to a sensitive genetic research facility by Dr Louise Rix, unit's rebellious new scientific advisor. She's not that rebellious. 2 scientists have vanished in mysterious circumstances, and despite assurances from the sinister Dr Grange, unit suspects there is something very wrong at the centre of the caterpillar population. Can they survive the fruits of Dr Grange's experiments? And will Savarin survive Bambera and Rix's new rocky relationship? Yes, the answer to that last bit is yes, they will, because they're all really well drawn characters, really well defined and really well brought together. There's a lot of thought gone into this set. Not only does it feel terribly 90s, I mean, let's face it, the Millennium Dome's in one of the episodes, I know, but it really comes together beautifully. And there's a lot of weird science going on. Which brings us up to story number 3. I'm not going to give you spoilers, I'm not. But story number 3, The Dark Side of the Moon by Alfie Shaw. Alfie's got some great work going on at the moment. I'm very impressed. A new British space station, the Britannia, is due to be launched at the end of the week, but Bambera, Rix and Savarin fear that some kind of psychic entity is trying to sabotage it. Is it really the spirit of Helen McNamara, deceased astronaut and old friend of Rix? And does it speak the truth when it warns that something terrible is waiting for humanity on the dark side of the moon? You kind of know that this is going to be the setup for a continuing narrative, a la the X-Files. It's nice that we've got a brand new alien threat. They do have a bit of a Mr. thing going on because, let's face it, smaller cast, possession, kind of fits together. But of course, you end up with a massive cast anyway. What I'm saying is, this is a great box set, fantastic introduction, and I cannot wait for more. There was even a mention of Chunky Gilmore, and we're very likely to be able to have a lovely crossover. This is one of those ITC series that we didn't get. You can imagine it in 3x4, possibly going to widescreen in one of the later seasons, and it just being great. So I'm going to leave it at that and play the trailer. So until next time, be seeing you.
Seabird 1 to Seabird 2, come in, over.
From Big Finish Productions.
There's a bomb about to go off.
Unit, Brave New World, Volume 1.
Is that you, Brigadier Bambera?
Brags down! I'm going in!
You're being recalled to Unit Central Control.
What? No, I'm not done here.
If the BSP made contact with alien life, I can assure you that we wouldn't keep quiet about it.
I've seen some pretty freaky things in my time. But to this day, I really hate dealing with the woo-woo stuff. What the hell was that?
We're about to have company!
Damn it! Open fire! Don't let it touch you! It's deadly!
But it's a butterfly!
You people always reduce everything to monsters.
Backhand, Sergeant. A unit privilege.
Activate the containment cage!
You're my scientific advisor?
Are you expecting a twitchy little man with a clipboard?
What did they promise you all, huh?
Okay, who gave the cleaner aliens hat?
I won't have your delusional vendetta hold up our launch any longer.
Everybody down!
Really hope you know what you're doing.
Me too! Shame. Are you sure the nation will survive me in charge?
Big Finish, for the love of stories.